Okay, friends, today's topic is why you should set up your entity. So there are three main reasons why you need to set up an entity. So reason number one is for you to get funded from hard money lenders and private money lenders when you purchase your property. Why is that? Why is it that you need to have an entity to get funded? The reason why is because when the banks, in this case, we're going to talk about the institution, hard money lenders, or an individual, a private money lender, they want to lend to an entity because if something goes wrong, as far as you making the payments, guess what? They can take over the property or repossess the property in 6 months or less. However, if they lend money on your name, guess what? They can foreclose on you in up to 2 years. That is the big reason why they want to fund the deal via an entity, okay? And then the second reason is for you to build business credit. Once you create an entity, you're gonna be able to apply for business credit. So what I mean by business credit is credit cards for your business. Because a lot of people get confused with line of credits. That is totally different, okay? So I just wanna clarify this. Once you have an entity, you're gonna be able to build business credit, which means that you're gonna be able to apply to credit cards, and they're gonna give you line of credits and cash advance on your business. And that has nothing to do with your personal credit. They're gonna run your personal credit to begin with, but that happens only at the beginning. Thereafter, you don't need to prove any, it's undocumented, in other words. So that's what I love about business credit. They don't ask you for your income taxes, W-2s, none of that. That is why it's super powerful. Whereas line of credits, you get line of credits from hard money lenders, for instance. And typically the way it works is they base those line of credits based on two things, your experience and your liquidity. So if you have 100,000 in cash, for instance, they're going to give you a line of credit of 500,000. So you multiply your liquidity times 5. But today, we're not interested in the line of credit, okay? We're interested in the main reasons why you need to have your entity, which is building business credit or credit cards for your business and getting funded from private money lenders and hard money lenders that we're going to be using on the upfront purchase of the property. Why? Because hard money lenders and private money lenders are asset-based. So they're going to be looking at the deal itself. They're not going to be looking at yourself, your W-2s. They're going to be looking whether you have a great deal that makes sense for a fix and flip or a buy and hold, then you're going to get funded. The second reason that you need to have an entity is for asset protection. So what does that mean? Why do you need to be protected? Because if something goes wrong in the premises of your property, guess what? They're going to sue you and they're going to come after your property and your assets. So the way that it works to get protected is that once you purchase a property, you put that property in an LLC or an S-Corp. We're going to talk about the different types of entities. So for now, you put it in an entity. If for whatever reason, let's say, let me give you an example of the collapse of the porch in Chicago. Okay, about 10 years ago, the porch collapsed. Many people died. So the owner was sued, okay? And guess what? He happened to have his property, his building, in an entity. Therefore, a lot of people sued the owner, but they could not go beyond the entity holding the real estate of the porch. So he ended up losing the building, but he had other buildings. They were not able to tap into the other buildings. Why? Because that building was in an entity. And by the way, that building was paid off. So it was free and clear, 100% equity on it. So he ended up losing the building. And also what's recommended is for you to have an umbrella policy, which is really cheap. We pay about $140 for a $5 million umbrella policy. So in case your building does not pay off all the lawsuit expenses and fines and everything, then they will tap into your umbrella policy. Okay, so that is why you have to have an entity for asset protection. And the third reason why you need to have an entity is to be able to deduct your expenses, so tax deductions. In these cases, when real estate, depreciation is going to be huge, okay? All your office expenses, traveling, vehicle, meals can be deducted. So it's a great way for you to deduct many of your daily expenses that you use for your business. So those are the main three reasons why you need to have an entity. Now, let's talk about the types of entities that there are out there. So there are three types of entities. We have the S-Corp, we have the C-Corp, and then we have the LLC. Now, the question is, when do you use them, right? Why do you pick one versus the other one, and in what condition, right? So very simple. S-Corp, you create an S-Corp if you're a single individual. Okay, let's say John Doe. If John Doe is the only one who's going to be doing real estate, then you create an S-Corp. And S-Corps are also great if you're going to be doing flips, buy and holds. Okay, that's the best corporation that you can have. S-Corp. Okay. Now the second entity is the C-Corp. The problem with the C-Corp is that it has double taxation. So you're going to be taxed as a corporation and then as an individual. Okay, so therefore, we do not recommend for you to have a C-Corp. Okay, and then we have the third type of entity, which is the LLC. Okay, LLC is when you have two or more people. Okay, you can also have one single LLC entity. Okay, but for the most part, you want to create an LLC if there are going to be two or more people involved in the business. So if it's you and your significant other, you and your partner, then you want to create an LLC. Now, once you create these entities, you are gonna need to have two pieces of documents. One of them is going to be the Articles of Incorporation, which is when you pay the fees to the state, which is about $175 to incorporate either an LLC or an S-Corp or a C-Corp. You pay the fees to the state, and then if you want to expedite the process, you pay another $100. So it's going to be a little bit under $300 to get incorporated. Okay, so we highly recommend to pay the $100 for the expedite so that you can get rolling applying for business credit. Okay, otherwise it's going to take up to 2 weeks to get the Articles of Incorporation in the mail. Okay, but if you do it with the expedite, paying $100, you're going to get them like within a day or so. So it's totally worth doing the expedite. And then once you have the Articles of Incorporation, you also need to have an operating agreement, okay? The operating agreement is just a simple document that has three things in it. Number one, it has the members of the LLC. Number two, it has the roles and responsibilities of every single one of the members. And finally, it has how information about how you're going to split the profit, okay? And the contributions of all the members. That's all. And why are those important? Because when you apply for a loan from a hard money lender or a private money lender, they're going to ask you for those two documents, your Articles of Incorporation. So they want to know when you incorporated. They also will ask you for the operating agreement. So they want to know who the partners are or who the main person in the entity is. And also, they want to make sure that your corporation or your entity is in good standing, okay? Because once you create an entity, you need to file yearly annual reports, That's what they call them, annual reports. You need to do that yearly. And so, in other words, you pay about $225 on a yearly basis, and that makes you active and in good standing. So some of these lenders are going to ask you for the good standing certificate, which you can get from the CyberDrive website in Illinois. You pay about $25 for the good standing certificate. So they want to make sure that your entity is active and in good standing, meaning that you have filed the yearly reports. And the yearly reports is pretty much a simple two-page document. That's it. That states how many shares you have, and also your portion of in the entity, and then you pay the yearly fee, which is about $175. Okay, so those are the main documents. And then once you have that, friends, you're going to be set to go. And that is why Andrew, the reason why we use Andrew is because out there are tons of accountants, right? So Andrew is a CPA, but the reason why we brought Andrew into the picture is because he understands real estate like the back of his hand, okay? He talks about debt coverage ratios. He understands that. So he's going to be able to position yourself for growth, okay, on paper. So he's going to make you look good on paper in the eyes of the IRS and the private or hard money lenders, which is huge, right? That is why we use him. So he understands the real estate aspect of it. So when it comes time for you to refinance on the back end, he's going to be aware of your debt coverage ratio. So that means that's a ratio used by lenders to make sure that your properties are self-sufficient. That based on the income from your properties, you're going to be able to pay off not only the mortgage, but all your operating expenses. So he's aware of that piece of it, okay? And not only that, but he understands the legality of it. So to me, he's like an attorney, an accountant, and a real estate guru. So you get like three people in one. That is why we highly recommend Andrew. He's created many entities for us, and he understands the back-end aspect of your income taxes. So he's going to set you up for growth. That's what it boils down to. Now, I want to open up the line to see if there are any questions so far. But before I do that, I will quickly summarize what I've talked about. So number one reason why you need an entity is to get funded. Okay, why? Because if they're going to foreclose on the property, they want to foreclose on an entity within 6 months versus on an individual, which can take up to 2 years. Reason number two is that you can create or have business credit on your entity. Reason number three, asset protection, okay? They're not gonna come after your personal assets. Everything stays within the entity, okay? And obviously you need to have an umbrella policy on top of it just to make sure that you are okay on your personal assets. And then finally, for tax benefits, especially depreciation, that's huge, okay? So you're gonna be saving tons of money. You're going to be able to have a lot of deductions for your regular day-to-day expenses related to real estate, like vehicle usage, meals, even your office space at home can be depreciated. So there are tons of benefits by creating an entity. Now, if you're going to be doing fix and flip or buy and hold, S-Corp is the way to go, okay, if you're a single individual. But if you are working in a partnership of 2 or more, then you need to do an LLC. And remember, once you incorporate, you're going to have 2 pieces of document, your articles of incorporation and your operating agreement, okay? Those are going to be critical. And some lenders are going to ask you for the good standing certificate that you can just get online from the Cyber Illinois website. That's pretty much, in a nutshell, the reasons why you need to incorporate, okay? Those are huge reasons why you need to incorporate and what type of entities that are out there. So there are 3 entities. You have the S-Corp for 1 individual, the C-Corp stay away from it. Double taxation. And finally, you have the LLC. That's for 2 or more people. It is that simple, friends. So I'm going to open up the line for questions. Are there any questions on the line? I'm going to unmute you all. Are there any questions on the line?
I have a question. I before that you can incorporate LLC and then S-Corp. Do you have any type of clarification on that?
Are there any questions on the line?
Hello, Hugo.
Any
Can you hear
questions
me?
on the line, friends?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay, if there are no further questions on the lines, I apologize that Andrew was not able to connect tonight. We're gonna bring him again. Okay, so there is another question. Can you still work as an individual utilizing an LLC? Yes. It could be a single individual in an LLC. Yes, totally, you can do that. Yes, yeah, Larry, I couldn't hear you. So if you can unmute yourself, or you can put the question on the chat. But yeah, you can have a single individual LLC. Okay, can you incorporate as an LLC and an S-Corp? Okay, you can do either one or the other one. So if you are one individual, then I suggest for you to do S-Corp, okay? If you're gonna be 2 or more, then do an LLC. Okay, Andrew is unmuted online, but for some reason we can't hear him. Okay, another message is, okay, what is Andrew's contact information? Okay, so I'm gonna send you his contact information right now via the chat. What information was from the Cyber Illinois? Okay, so from Cyber Illinois, you can get the good standing certificate for your entity. And right now, I'm gonna text all of you Andrew's contact information. So his cell phone number is 847, I'm typing this on the chat so you will also get it, 702-3877. I just sent that to all of you. Not only that, but you are going to, we're going to have Andrew's information as the preferred accountant, okay? Let me make sure that I send this to all of you. Everyone. Okay, so I just sent his phone number to everyone. Okay? So make sure that you connect with Andrew Thomas to go over your personal strategies, your entities, and any questions you have on your taxes. If you already have an LLC for a different business, can you establish an S-Corp for the real estate? Definitely, you can do that. If you already have an LLC, I highly suggest for you to do an S-Corp. Just for the real estate, if you're a single individual, especially if you're interested in doing buy and hold or flipping. Okay, are there any other questions?
Yeah.
Okay, friends, so remember, go to Preferred Partners, and then on there, there's going to be a category tomorrow called Accountant, and then Andrew's information is going to be there, including his email, but I just sent everyone his cell phone number. Okay, so Andrew is going to be able to start your corporation, and his fees are very, very reasonable. Okay, how can you start our corporation? Another question. I'm living in Wisconsin, but own property in it. What state should I incorporate? So you incorporate in the state that you're doing business. So if you're doing business in Wisconsin, that's where you need to incorporate, okay? If you're just doing wholesaling, which entity should I do for wholesaling? Okay, so for wholesaling, you can use a trust, okay? That's the quickest way for you to transfer or do an assignment of the contract. You can use a trust, or you can use your individual name. You don't necessarily need an entity if you're gonna be doing wholesale, okay? But otherwise, many people use trusts. trusts are a hiding or privacy mechanism, okay, for wholesaling. Because doing, if you're gonna do just one or two wholesale deals, you don't need an entity. But if wholesaling is your business, so then you definitely need a corporation, like an S-Corp, or it's two or more people, an LLC. But if you're gonna do once in a while a wholesale deal, then you do not need an entity, okay, because that's gonna be overhead. Another question. For LLC, do you need articles of incorporation or yeah, definitely. So you do need articles of incorporation for an LLC or an S-Corp. And then if you have an S-Corp, can you get another one? Yes, you can have as many S-Corps as you need to. Remember, so the key of the rule of thumb is that you're going to put your properties into an S-Corp. Let's say an S-Corp or an LLC based on the equity. Once you hit a $500,000 equity, you need to start taking those properties out into another entity, okay? So that you're protected. So the rule of thumb is 500,000, and then you need to move them to another one. Are there any other questions on the line? Okay, so what I like to say is, friends, don't get hung up into the details. You need to rely on the experts. That is why I gave you Andrew's contact information. You don't need to be an accountant, okay? Work, delegate with Andrew. He's gonna set you up for growth, okay? All you need to understand are the basic reasons why you need an entity. Another question. Which companies do you recommend you to use for your property insurance on your property investments? Okay, so we use Patrick McCarthy from Erie Insurance. So we have them under the preferred partners. It's Erie Insurance, and it's Patrick McCarthy for your insurance needs. So he's going to be able to set you up with an umbrella policy. Okay, Patrick McCarthy. And then for those of you who are interested, I'm going to send you his contact information right now. Patrick from Erie Insurance. Okay, his cell phone number for Patrick is, I'm going to put it on the chat, 847 452 452 4352. Okay, that is Patrick McCarthy. I'm going to put it, Patrick.
Hey, what's up?
I'm like, who's this feeling here?
Oh.
I came to
McCarthy.
Would you like a slice?
Okay, I just sent you Patrick's McCarthy information. Okay, so
Yeah.
also the preferred partners. He is our main insurance person from Erie Insurance. He's amazing for vacant properties, fix and flips, or rentals.
What's on it?
So the coverage is amazing. They're top rated, even better than Allstate.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
are there any other questions on the line, friends?
Like this?
Yeah, put the fridge.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. We're gonna send the replay tomorrow. Apologize for the technical difficulties and the delay that you had to wait for us. So thank you, friends, for joining today's webinar. Make sure that you listen to it again so that you understand the reasons why you need an entity and what type of entity you need to use for your real estate strategies. So thank you and have a great weekend, friends. I look forward to seeing you in the next live event. Thank you.